A new spot XRP exchange-traded fund has been authorized. Moreover, is it possible for XRP spot ETFs to raise the price up to 3 digits? I was able to do all of those tasks and more. In addition, we are going to investigate some fresh information that has recently come to light. There is a 90% likelihood that a spot XRP exchange-traded fund ETF will be filed in the United States this year. That's some fresh information that has recently come to light. Additionally, we are going to investigate some facts on DTCC, in addition to ACI Global, Swift, Ripple, and XRP exchanges. This week, Canada has introduced 3 spot exchange-traded funds ETFs that are based on XRP. XRP, which is the third largest digital asset according to market cap, is now available to investors in a regulated manner. The first 3 are called Purpose Investments, Evolve Exchange Traded Funds, and 3IQ. This is the amount of money that is now under their management. There is a much larger corporation, Purpose, which has 23 billion. Since Evolve contains 7 billion, it is clear that Purpose is at least 3 times greater than Evolve. In fact, it is much larger than Evolve. After that, there is 3IQ, which is equal to 2 billion years. Over the following 6 to 12 months, it will be quite interesting to observe how this list develops and grows beyond its current state. Just keep in mind that this is only Canada. A huge thank you to everyone in Canada who is responsible for making this possible. As a result of the fact that people are continually questioning, Sensei, what can this do to the prices? Here is some information. To what extent will this even be relevant? Some information is provided here. In the event that a spot ETF inflows over the next, whatever the time period is, are increased by $5 billion, $25 billion, or $100 billion, what sort of an impact may they have on the price? This is essentially the information that you need. These are the billions, 5, 25, and 100 billion. Along with it, there is a market cap multiplier. When you consider the amount of money that is brought into 2XRP or another digital asset, and the influence that this has on the total market capitalization, you may see that there are instances when the multiplier is 25, 50, or even 100 times. On the other hand, if we were to obtain 5 billion, 25 billion, or 100 billion, that may truly be equivalent to several $100 billion. In the event that we are successful in obtaining a multiplier that is big enough, this would amount to $1 trillion, $2.5 trillion, or $5 trillion. As a result, the price of XRP would increase to far above $50 or perhaps go near to $100. If we are able to obtain a multiplier of 50 times on 100 billion, then we could also be able to obtain a multiplication of 100 times on 15 or 20 billion. That has the potential to have the same kind of an effect. What I want you to appreciate about this situation is that is all there is to detect ETFs. These are not coins that are stable. Tokenization of financial assets is not what can be said here. No, this is not an explosion of DeFi, but none of it is true here. Therefore, over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, we will be able to tug on all of these different threads and add value to the situation. All of the characteristics that I just stated, in addition to a great deal of other factors, have the potential to have a significant influence on the pricing. Jim Safa is shown here. It's Safa. Indeed, he is referring to Eric Balker-Hamis in this context. I am increasing the likelihood that we will win the large majority of the spot. At least 90% of spot cryptocurrency filings are XRP ETF filings. Now take a look at all of the ETFs, as you can see which of them are the most well-liked and why. It is clear that Solana and XRP are the 2 most popular cryptocurrencies, with XRP enjoying a higher level of popularity than Solana at the present time. Bear in mind that Dogecoin possesses a few grayscales, Cardano possesses 1 grayscale, Polkadot, HBR possesses both grayscale and Canary, and Avalanche possesses both grayscale and Vernect. Canary is possessed by Sui, and then Tron possesses it. I have a strong positive sentiment toward the following cryptocurrencies: XRP, Cardano, HBR, Avalanche, and Sui. Now here is some further information for you. Prior to the conclusion of the Ripple and SEC case, is it possible for the spot XRP ETF to be approved? Because this is an issue that is frequently asked, I thought it would be beneficial to at least discuss it with you, so that we may all have a better understanding of it together. That information is presented here. Although it is not completely impossible, it is extremely improbable that a US spot XRP ETF would be approved before the Ripple and SEC matter has been successfully resolved in its entirety. In addition, the surrounding circumstances clearly imply that the Securities and Exchange Commission is waiting for more legal clarification before reaching a final determination. It is important to note the following considerations in relation to all of this: delays and the review procedure that the SEC takes. All of the applications for a spot XRP ETF that have been submitted to the SEC, including those from Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, and others, have been subjected to many extensions of the review periods. The official explanation for these delays is that there is a requirement for more time to take into consideration regulatory issues. In addition, in order to collect public feedback and industry research, industry analysts are of the opinion that the fundamental reason why this is not permitted is because of the continued legal uncertainties associated with Ripple. In addition to this, there is a lack of legal clarity, which has direct implications for the approval. Both the question of whether or not XRP is a security and the question of whether or not the market for XRP is adequately secured against manipulation and fraud are of key interest to the SEC. I believe that we have already gone through this judicial process that has been going on for 5 years to argue that XRP is not a security. However, I suppose that the fact that they are coming here is a cause for concern. Recently, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) and Ripple reached an agreement to temporarily halt the appeal process while they await a decision from the district court over a new settlement motion. It is not anticipated that the SEC will reach a definitive ruling regarding exchange-traded funds ETFs before the next significant court update, which is slated to take place on August 15, 2025. The expectations of the market and analysts as well as the forecast markets and experts continue to be positive about the final approval. However, the majority of projections anticipate that the matter will either be settled or at the very least acquire a stable legal position. Polymarket, for instance, has demonstrated that the approval chances are shifting but remain high, which reflects confidence that the approval would lead to more legal certainty. Canada has already given its approval to a spot exchange-traded fund ETF for XRP, but the regulatory landscape in the United States is more cautious, particularly in light of the ongoing case that the SEC is conducting on Ripple. As a result, there were a great number of individuals here. Due to the fact that the Trump administration was about to take office, market participants in the XRP area believed that all of this would have been resolved and finished by now. In spite of the fact that it appears that this will take more time than we had anticipated, we get the impression that we are now moving in the correct direction to put this one behind us. This time around, Chad Steingraber stated that he should begin to take the initiative and stop being a follower. As Canada has surpassed the United States in terms of a spot XRP ETF, the chief liquidity officer of Coinbase has stated that it is time for the United States to catch up. Chad has also provided this paper, which includes investor education materials. In the past, we did see the chief executive officer stating, "I made a video earlier and it would already be out before this one. I'll check to see if I can successfully locate that in a short amount of time." The forecast ranges from $5,000 to $4,300. To answer your question, investors, when do you anticipate the price to increase? That's what each and every person want. It's true. I have to find out how to accomplish that if we have a 22-page document that is not yet available to the public. This is the only way that we can figure it out. This was done by our analysts. He also discussed all of the genuine price structures that are available for XRP. Once again, the price ranged from $5 to $4,300 depending on the date of your purchase and the specifics of your use case. In my opinion, the three most important factors are velocity, supply and demand. Given that the settlement of the transaction takes 5 seconds, how much XRP was used for the transaction? Will you be able to perform it 12 times in a minute? Can you truly do it at any time of the day or night? What is the exact amount of XRP that you require? As far as the velocity models are concerned, all of these are fundamental problems that need to be solved. This will occur over the course of time. That is us. In a literal sense, the industry is still in its infancy. Everyone is seated here. Every year this is going to become much more significant. The use of XRP, on the other hand, as well as the use case of the Ripple ledger, is most likely going to explode according to what you are discussing here. That is going to be of great assistance. As arbitrageurs enter the market, they will work to eliminate pricing differences in order to facilitate easier trading. This process will take some time, but it will eventually take place, and things do take place. The smallest of things, such as making the most of money, that manifests itself more quickly than you may imagine. When individuals have the desire to create money, it happens much more quickly than you may expect. When you are attempting to alter a complete infrastructure in a manner of conducting business, which is exactly what we are discussing here, at the end of the day that occurs more slowly than you may assume.